Hey everybody, Nick here, and today I got another disassembly video for you, this time of your CRKT Jettison. So this is a knife that when I picked it up here, is loaned, by the way, from my buddy Francisco, and when I got it, it has a little bit of side-to-side blade play, and the detent on it is just, well, it's not great. So I'm hoping that with a little bit of cleanup, that'll help, but we'll see. Alrighty, so to take this apart, it actually seems pretty simple. I don't think we'll be here long. First, we got the pivot here, and then we've got these three screws down there. I am going to go on ahead and make a bet that those three screws are T6 Torx, maybe? T6? T6. Indeed. And you can see that they're screwed directly into the other side of the scale there, which is no big deal. It's just kind of a thing. If that were G10 and they had some kind of a washer in there, like on your Kershaw Tremor, oh, I'd be complaining. But as it is, you know, hey, whatever. The only disadvantage to that, relative to having a nut, is that you basically, if these strip out here, your knife is dead. Rather than on a knife that has kind of a nut on the other side there, it's much easier to just replace the portion that's got a problem. Just using my little oiler here to push those out. Hoping desperately that they are the same size, as they are indeed. Beautiful. Alright, now I'm going to take apart the pivot, and for that I'm going to use a Torx T8, I believe. Torx T8. Beautiful. Oh, there. I went the back spacer. And this knife is coming to pieces in my hands. There we go. Alrighty. A square detent hole. What the heck? I mean, seriously, look at that. That's square. I have honestly never seen anything like that. Okay. Well, that's something all right. All right, let's go ahead and do a cleanup real quick. Got some rubbing alcohol. Put it on a paper towel here. Gonna wipe off the back spacer. Do I need to clean these parts? No. Am I gonna? Yes. Yes, I am. Because for me, this is deeply therapeutic. Whether I'm doing it with you guys on the cameras here, or whether I'm just doing it for grins at home, it's nice. Because I'm making something right in the world. I'm cleaning, I'm improving. Usually when a knife comes off of my table, it's got a better action, even slightly, than when I started. And degunked and everything like that, and that brings me joy, because so often in life you're completely unable to fix the inefficiencies, the inadequacies, the pains that you experience on a regular basis. There's nothing you can do about it. Or if there is something you can do about it, it's deeply complex or expensive or a pain in the neck. That's why I like taking apart pocket knives, because, you know, only so much that can be wrong with it. And generally, the solution is pretty inexpensive. A little bit of oil, a little bit of elbow grease, and then suddenly everything is right with the world again. Or at least with a very, very small chunk of the world. Okay, no lock bar insert here. No big surprise. A little bit of milling on the inside of the knife, which is actually a big surprise at this price point. A little surprised there. Alright, blade itself is clean. I'm gonna take out a Q-tip and go at the inside of the pivot here, because that can very often, now I'm splashing alcohol all over the place. My table is currently drunk as a skunk. You know, I've never seen a skunk drunk. Yet, there's the idiom. Somebody needs to fact check that. Alrighty. Moving it along. Now, pivot's cleaned out, and blade itself is fine. Again, one thing that really strikes me about this knife, and I'll mention it in the full review, but is the polishing on this blade, in that it is really over-polished. Like, for instance, on a watch case that's been polished over and over and over again, you get this kind of rounding and melting of the corners. It's like the entire thing was heated up a little too much and hit with a buffing wheel, And so, you know, it's fine, but it's just a little interesting. And I'm not a huge fan of it, but you can even see, like in this area here, this top corner has really been kind of buffed away, whereas on this side it's pretty clean. Which makes me think there was literally some guy sitting there at a manual polishing wheel just going for like 20 minutes to smooth this guy off, and that's probably how the blade picked up this weird little recurve there. But anyways, okay, that's all set. This looks good. And that's all the knife there is to clean. This is interesting and slightly concerning. You can see, oh, that's no good. So see this little bit of brown right here? Hopefully you can see that. What I suspect went on there is that they ground off the lock bar face here. Lock face. Yeah, that's what I want. And there's a burr here. But that as they were grinding it, it got a little too hot, and that ruined the heat treat of the metal right there. It shouldn't be a big issue, especially because that's the far end of the lock face, but I don't know. Not super impressed, but it's a Cricut. I gotta be honest. Cricut doesn't tend to impress me. They do some decent stuff, but by and large, they are making cheap things cheaply. Okay, lock bar, lock pin, stop pin is in there. Lock pin, nice. Well done, Nick. Now I'm going to start the reassembly process. Oh, the pivot is just gunky as crap. All right. Hold on. Back it up. Ew, that's disgusting. But that's a beautiful thing in that I have just removed gunk from the world. It's like a very small sort of superhero role. Oh, that's right, because the pin here, the flush side, it's got a D-shaped pivot here, so I got to find the D-shaped side of the handle. And indeed, that is the presentation side. So, I'll start from that side. Take out the nano oil, or any other oil, as you see fit. I get a lot of people, Nick, why do you use nano oil? Because it works fine. I'm not a true believer. I don't actually believe that it's got nano diamonds or molecules that are magnetically induced. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, but it works fine, so no problems. Okay, drop a blade on there, and I'm going to go ahead and throw the stop in on this side since I'm building from that side up. Okay. Now, conveniently, actually, this side is the side that has the that the screws go into, so I'm going to go ahead and put the screws through here. That way I can arrange the back spacer. Come on now. On there, and just drop the other scale onto it. There we go. And let's put a back spacer on here. Let's see. Yeah, that's the right orientation. There you go. That's the ticket. Okay, don't feel the need to take the clip off. Everything else looks good on this. So let's go ahead and drop a couple of drops of nano oil onto the blade here, where the washer goes. And fill up the square lock detent hole. Okay, sure thing there, Cricut. It's probably why the detent is a little bit on the weird side. And actually, I'll reduce the amount of oiling I just did there. Maybe, oh, a square detent hole. What the heck, Cricut? Really? Really? Okay, so now that I'm still dealing with the terrible shock and awe here, I'll go ahead and use my Loctite here. Whoa there, a little chunk of Loctite, and just coat the inside of the scales here. Hopefully you can see this. And that'll prepare some surface for those screws to pop into, and then I'm going to go ahead and coat the inside of the pivot. Wipe off the oiler. If I were doing watch work, obviously I would not be using the same oiler for the Loctite and for actual oil, but luckily I'm not, so I don't really super have to care. Okay, So now I'm going to go ahead. Right now there's a problem in that I can't actually unscrew the, I can't screw these guys in because I can't reach up through the table. So what I'm going to do is put the pivot part of the way in. That'll just kind of keep everything vaguely secure. Just putting away the Loctite. And then, once I've got my pivot seated and happy, although it won't be perfection, I'll probably over-tighten it right now. There we go. I can switch drivers and then just tilt this guy up so that I have access to these screws. There we go. Pop these guys in, one at a time. There we go. Oh. Felt a little resistance there, so I wanted to back off and make sure. Because I don't want to cross thread, especially, as I said, when the screws are going directly into the scales on the other side. Beautiful. Looks about good. Now the action right now is extra abysmal because right now the pivot is way over tightened. Yet still the centering isn't there. Well, that's interesting. Alright, so what I'm going to do actually, I may have to... good learning experience here. So I'm going to loosen up the pivot a little bit, first off. There we go. Centering is actually back to okay. So good. What I was afraid of is that since I tightened the pivot and then tightened the scale screws, sometimes on knives with poor tolerances, you need to do that kind of very carefully. Like your scale screws actually control the side-to-side, kind of the orientation on this axis with the scales, and so centering is off if you pivot, if you tighten the scale screws at the wrong time. But that's not the case here. Okay, that's actually a little better. There's very minimal blade play there. Some of it we gotta accept because it's a cricket. Okay, a little more friction there. No blade play. I'm gonna see if I can back it off slightly and maybe get flipping action. Yeah, now let's try this. Hey, that worked. Okay, no blade play. It's still not a great flipper, I'll be honest with you. I'm a little bit unable to trust it, but at the same time, in the grand scheme of things, it's doing okay. Still better than a Hinderer. Actually, that's not true, but still. The fact that I even had to think about it tells a story. Okay, but anyways, that's your Cricket Jettison there. Interesting knife, and I'm looking forward to doing a full review of this guy. Yeah, I think the centering's about as good as I'm going to get off of this. And pretty straightforward take apart and reassemble. Hope this was interesting. Have yourselves a wonderful rest of your day.